Hello, everyone. Lorenzo here. I'm delighted to invite you all to our first ever live virtual event for the new NOW Agora, July 21st from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Join us there as you'll get a chance to interact as I have with some of the great luminaries who have been sharing here over the last many, many months. Jared George from The Great Order, Janice Barcelo from Birth of a New Earth, Noah Gray from Wild Writings, Amanda Vollmer from Yummy Doctor, and my good friend Campbell from Autodidactic. There'll be chances for questions and answers. You'll get to see what I have, how we can live happy, healthy, and free lives by getting an opportunity to grow in the perspectives from others and see what they've done in relation to how you can be and how I can be and how we can all live better lives. Following this, there's a bit of a video showing some of our interactions, promo about what's going to come while we do and when we do our live event. Please enjoy, like, and subscribe. If you haven't yet, join our newsletter. More information coming that way. Comment below. I'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you all for being here. So far right now, everyone who might be watching this, I'm with Campbell from Autodidactic and Noah Gray from Wild Writings. And it's not the only things that these fellows do, but they've graciously decided to join us in our Agora meeting room here, where we're going to get a chance to chat, share with you, our viewers. We'll allow you through questions and answers in a live fashion, or as live as we can make it, through this sort of a way of communications. We'll be able to share and allow you to directly talk with our participators here. So Noah, perhaps you can tell our viewers a little bit about what you do, and why you're here and what you may like to get out of these sorts of interactions.
Okay. Well, I'm here to do just what you said. Make myself available to interact with those who are interested in what I write. And in my articles for the NOW Agora, I also use a lot of images to convey the topics and points of view that I'm interested in presenting. And it's all about, for me, it's all about widening the window of truth and also, raising discernment on what's true and what's not, and what's important for people to know and to think about. That's sort of the nonfiction aspect of it. The sort of as a writer, I'm also interested in conveying words in an impactful way, in a way that also conveys my appreciation for beauty and art and spirit and all of that. So to me, the written word offers a kind of alchemical laboratory to where all those aspects come together, and hopefully the outcome is both, as the ancient saying goes, both educational and entertaining.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the first little while, like Jared, we were chatting about, how we're going to get, used to the system, and, we're going to meet and greet and get an opportunity for our fans and viewers from, the people that watch, Campbell from Autodidactic may not know about what you're doing, and the people that, are interested in what we're doing may not have met, fully met Noah or Jared yet, from the Great Order over here, who's a musician, by the way, fellow now that's in my bottom left, but the only one in a suit that I can see. And or maybe a suit jacket, right? Just so you know who he is over there. I guess all our names come up. And I'm thinking for the first little while, the viewers are just going to get a chance, like for me, to see the interactions from, we'll say luminaries, but people that are creating content, doing some writings, actually the kind of men and some women that will join us later that are, even though we're sitting on our bum, are not just sitting on their bums and watching the world go by. They're actually actively pursuing, whether it's music or writing or broadcasting or art, ways that we can share with people where they can, perhaps make a better life for themselves through some of the offerings that we've made. Campbell's a historian, a studier of ancient history. Jared as well has been. We've all been I don't like to use the word activist because I don't think any of us consider ourselves really activists, but we've all been active in sharing our perspective, let's say, on how we feel a life can be made better for ourselves directly. Nobody that I've met or invited directly seems to have a huge ego, and that, nobody wants to tell people how to be alive. We're simply sharing what we found works for ourselves and can perhaps also work for others if they want to, emulate something or everything or nothing of what we're doing and figure things out for themselves. So thank you for letting us know, about your perspectives. Jared, maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit to the viewers. We're going to be making a promo video from this. Let them know what you're doing and why you've decided to join us here. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but good to know. You're muted though.
Oh, all good.
See, unlike streaming software, which I'm used to, this platform here automatically mutes you when you come in. But that's a good feature. I think that's a good feature. Might save people some embarrassment in the future. But I was just saying, Lorenzo, thank you for inviting me into this and finding me about a year and a half ago, publishing a few poems and a few articles on your NOW Agora website. We did a nice, I think it was under 10 minutes or just a 10 minutes interview that you published last week. So for a bit of a more fleshed out introduction, if anyone's interested, that would be a good one to go find on the NOW Agora YouTube page, the new Now. But basically, I don't really offer myself up as an expert of anything. Definitely have that artist's mind that's always exploring and creating and is comfortable with mystery and gray areas. But that's not to say that everything is willy-nilly. I guess that's kind of the crux of my thing is I've always had a sense for harmony. I appreciated what getting to know your names, Noah, said earlier about beauty. I share that as well. Beauty and harmony are big touch points for me. But essentially observing that there were a lot of lopsided narratives in the world. And as we know, a lie to be effective has to have some element of truth. So I kept seeing things where there were these lopsided narratives that would have these little pieces of truth, but it was about what was being left out that I felt was starting to really confuse people. And I see that happening on many different levels. Part of the reason why I named my platform The Great Order is that I think that these principles, in essence, are reflected on every level. So just as we might look at how sugars or different compounds are extracted in a laboratory and put into little candies and gum and stuff and artificial sweeteners, and you think to yourself, well, the human body is not used to ingesting that. It doesn't quite know what to do with it when it doesn't have all of those other elements that are supposed to be with it in, say, something that's natural that contains sugar, like a strawberry or an apple. So simple and silly as that might sound, I think that metaphor, the same goes for ideas. The same goes for energy in the world as well. So that's an example on a physical level, but the same thing happens in the narratives that we get. And so I'm certainly not getting up here to say that I have answers to all of these things, but I just wanted to show up when I started a few years ago. I didn't quite know where it was going to go. The regeneration of the West is definitely something that had me as well. Again, as an artist, as a creative person, as someone who's rubbed shoulders and been friends with all types of people from all walks of life, to the narrative, again, that is presenting certain thing right now, I would be a very unlikely candidate to be advocating for some of the things I advocate for. But I say to you, gentlemen, plainly, and make no apologies for the fact that even though I didn't really even think about it much growing up, I did see an attack on European culture. I'm American, but very much in touch with the fact that my people come from Europe, and I don't see that physical lineage as the only part of my identity, certainly. Like a lot of creative people, I tended to see it more myself as self-created, or it was all soul and spiritual, and those details were more almost physical accidents. You see that word used sometimes. But as I grew older, I came to see that that's a denial of human life in a way. We're not angels. We're not floating in corporal concepts. We're still woven into the web of time and space from our family, from our parents, from our lineage. And it does mean something to be Western, to be of European descent. And there is such a thing as European civilization. And it was being attacked and vilified. And anyone that showed up to defend it or say that they weren't against their heritage were being vilified. And I said, that doesn't really sound right. Again, I'm very much not a tribalist person by nature. I understand this is a bit of a loaded topic, but it wouldn't be a complete introduction to me to not mention this, because a lot of the live streaming I got into and some of the scenes that I got into do talk about that and talk about it very forthrightly, but again, in a way that's extremely different than the supremacist, racist, we don't even like that word because we feel it's anti-white, but the Hollywood narrative and the mainstream news narrative, very, very different kind of thing. But what I was starting to say earlier is just, I'm not a tribalist person by nature. I was 8 years old. I remember standing alone in my bedroom, reasoning to myself, well, if I was born in another city, I'd be asked to root for another baseball team. So I kind of reasoned myself out of being crazy about sports, even at 8 years old. So I share that just as a quick anecdote to show I'm very much not tribalist by nature, but one can still have a creative, outward-looking, spiritual, holistic mindset and still incorporate where you come from, the beauty of your people and your culture into it as well. Again, it's not the only thing, but I felt like it was an ingredient that had to be addressed. And the word, I'll just leave you with this, the word I used a moment ago, holistic, is pretty much my touch point. So when I talked about the whole metaphor with the food before and how you're separating things and sugars and compounds in a lab and how that's not natural to the body and why it throws off the body, why it causes diseases, these artificial sweeteners and things like that. I look for everything to kind of have a structure, kind of like the number 3 comes up a lot. Maybe some of the other, I'm sure some of the other participants know more about this than I do, but 3 factors of 3 have always been interesting to me because it's the first stable number. So you could kind of think of the tripod, something needs 3 legs to stand on, be a stable structure. So in the same way, mind, body, spirit, we're all of those things. And there's a mind, body, spirit element to your culture, your people as well. So that's how I couch it. It's not my be all and end all, but in a holistic, in the best way I can understand it right now, the thinking and writing I've done about it over the last few years, is that a holistic understanding, a harmonious approach towards life would not glorify over other things unnecessarily, of course, but it would include a healthy reverence and understanding of family and culture and people. So that whole aspect of being a man of the West, very much on display of what I do. But my music is, all of this stuff is just in the background. I don't really believe in propagandistic lyrics, that kind of thing. A lot of the instincts of what I'm talking about are just, they're implied. Obviously, my music's for anyone. I don't mind if someone is of another culture and appreciates my music. Of course, like any musician, I want that. I'd appreciate that. And I listen to music from different cultures and peoples as well. So it's not like a rah, 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 I'm a man of European descent kind of thing. I talk about that and it's out there, but in my art and my music, it's just humming in the background. And I think that's healthier. And that's honestly how most people function for most of time. True diversity. I want true diversity, not the way that word has been vilified. Well, not vilified. What it's been is really perverted is a better word. This word diversity has been perverted in my view. True diversity is where we want boundaries. Lorenzo, you and I talked about this. Boundaries and openness kind of go together. That's one of those other elements of harmony. So I want the ability to have the openness, have the cultural exchange, but at the same time, England is England, Germany is Germany, Japan is Japan, Argentina is Argentina. No, these things aren't static throughout all time, but the things that are happening now are happening too quickly. Migration into Europe, from my perspective, it's too quick. It's too much of an agenda for it to be natural. They're obviously trying to destroy identities and break us down. And that kind of thing and physical health are some of my big touch points. So that's some of what I do.
That's amazing. It's I love your analogy on the sugars and the fruit and things like that. It gave me a huge understanding that I had in a cognitive sense, but it gave me a visceral feeling for what you were saying. So that's a good analogy. Thank you for that. And I agree. A seedling, needs its own protections to grow. Like if you have a unique plant, it needs to be protected for a little while before it can grow, and then you can put it in the forest with the rest of the trees or what have you, or into the growth. Right. So thank you so much for that. Campbell, maybe you can also share a little bit of what you've done. You can talk in relation to that. I know we've touched on some similar topics in our conversations as to what Jared's brought up in our way. in some of the talks we've done. And Jared, thanks so much for what you've shared. It's like, for me,
Thank
this
you.
is why I'm doing this, gentlemen, is to get this perspective and, bringing someone like Noah, who's in Canada, Campbell, who's in Australia, I'm in Japan, and Jared's in, the Eastern United States. So literally we're at 4 points on the planet right now. And yet, we're here sharing, I would say a common feeling of freedom, sovereignty, and dedication to our own desires to be self-directed in life, to be autodidactic, to teach yourselves, Noah, to be wild, we'll say, with the writings and what you feel like sharing, and how you want to get the perspectives out there. And to me, it seems everyone's based on, freedom, to be blunt, if we're going to use one word.
Definitely. Yes. Shall I go? How you going? Yeah, I'm Campbell. So I've basically come up out of YouTube videos. My main channel is autodidactic, which of course means to be self-educated, which is a big, pretty much part of what I do. It's all about getting new information out there, getting people to think, look at, new information and get new perspectives, because, clearly we've all been programmed, we've been educated, we've been given this narrative. So a lot of my work is really just to show people, look, that there's actually options. That's not all that's happened here. The story you've been given is a story they want you to believe, but the truth is our story is a lot bigger, grander, and better than they want us to believe. And it's been hidden because they don't want us to know how powerful we are. I mean, clearly this is, and right, we all know what's going on at the moment, with the powers that want to be sort of flexing their muscles. But this is the thing, they don't want us to know what our power is, and that we are the power, because without us they have nothing. And so I have another channel as well called Spiral Up, where I get into more spiritual aspects, but I really try and keep them practical. I'm really sort of trying to get away from this guru sitting on a mat and, you have to look a certain way to be taken seriously. I mean, that's just ridiculous. People are what they, do, right? They're not what you've got to take someone from substance. So I'm trying to get back to that. But yeah, basically I look into history is my main forte, his story, the story they tell us, that, we were just slaves in the mud being pushed around for a couple of thousand years, and somehow we popped up here, and now we just have to thank the controllers for all our tech, right? So the truth is basically the opposite to that they've stolen everything from us. So that's where I am, and just happened to pop up in this time of what's going on at the moment, with the awakening and that, and I've just everything I'm doing is slotting right into that. It's just well, we all know what's going on. There's a big movement of awakening coming up, so I'm just out there doing my part pretty much, and trying to bring the new world in, the world that we deserve, the world that we want to build. So
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate that, Campbell. Is there anything you would like to share, Noah? Maybe have any questions for anybody here, or maybe I'll make a video from what we've done so far. But what do you feel?
Well, just a question for Campbell. What is your main? You're an artist, visual artist, or you're writing about history, or what's the main genre, so to speak?
I'm a researcher, and my main way of getting information out is videos. So I do a lot of videos. I do interviews. Sort of looking into podcasts now, and I've got some books that need finishing. But basically most of it is come up through videos. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sort of I'm still on YouTube, but obviously, got kicked off, got shut down, got all this stuff. So I'm on about 4 platforms now. So
okay,
we try. Exactly.
I mean, this is
it's like a competition now, isn't it? How many platforms have you been kicked off?
Well, this is kind of why I wanted to start this. Is I figure out, like, a lot of people that are here have been booted off many platforms for many reasons, and even more that haven't showed up today that are going to be here in the future have been deplatformed from everything except some of the independent ones. David Whitehead, Truth Warriors coming, Janice Barcelo, Birth of a New Earth. Both of them I know have been blackballed for sharing a lot of out of the box information in relation to how to be happy, healthy, and free.
Ain't going back, not gonna buy into all that. Hey, ain't gonna hide, just it's all my style.